Hello, you made it to my channel, Niche Gaming. Today I'm going to get started with a very addictive game, a sort of miniature you may come across in your gaming adventures, called Car Mechanic Simulator 2021. Car Mechanic Simulator is a game for mechanics and non-mechanics alike. Those with an affinity for working on cars will find it a pretty good simulation, and those who have never seen the inside of a car before will learn the very basics of auto repair, assembling and disassembling a vehicle, how a garage works, and rebuilding cars to sell them for profit. The game takes you step by step in your business, allowing you to grow your garage and expand your services. You start out taking small orders. In my playthrough, in each video, I'm going to achieve a milestone and give new tips, tricks, and guides. We start by taking the normal and story orders and putting up with their annoyance, and eventually we develop our business so that we're building engines from scratch with all performance parts and rebuilding junk cars, starting from their very damaged frames that we weld to 100% condition and installing all of the best parts so that we get a shiny new car in mint condition that we can sell for profit. Just to be clear, I'm playing the base game with no DLCs. I will discuss DLCs in future videos when they actually become relevant, but very generally speaking, I don't see much value to any of them. The base game is enough to take you through the journey of developing your own garage business. In this first video, I'm going to complete the first normal order. I'll give you every tip I can to help those of you who are just discovering this game. So let's get started. Toolbox is where we get tools, expand the garage, and upgrade our skills as we gain experience. Until we get the tablet tool that allows us to order parts from anywhere in our garage, we have to buy parts by going to this computer and clicking on it. You get orders through this phone here. You can right click also and click on the phone that way and just see the orders you have available. The first order, you want to make sure you get the one with the least requirements. Since we have very little money to start with, so you want to get the one with the least requirements so there's not much you have to buy just to deliver the order. Whenever you get cars, you can right-click the car and you can go into examination mode. Right-click the car by pointing your mouse on it. So you want to get the examination mode. It's a way to identify the conditions of some parts of the vehicle. It doesn't give you everything. There are tools that we can buy, which further help identify parts quickly, but we will get to those when we have the money to buy them. Those are actually not very expensive. They're one of the first things we get, just so we can identify parts much more quickly and not have to disassemble the entire vehicle. For each part that is identified, regardless of which tool is used, we get 1 XP. When we actually get to the point of disassembling the vehicle, for every part that you unmount, you get 1 XP, and every part that you assemble, when you assemble a vehicle, for every part that you mount, you get 1 XP. So whether you're putting the car together or disassembling it, taking parts off, doesn't matter, you'll always get 1 XP for assembling it and disassembling. This is very useful because it helps you identify the conditions of those parts and which one therefore you have to replace, because it doesn't always give you that in the list. It won't tell you you need to get, it'll just tell you that this car has these problems, it has brake problems. Well, it doesn't tell you which brake pads you need to replace. So you'll have to discover which brake pads need replacement, or brake caliper, or whatever. Every part has a condition rating in the form of a percentage, with 100% being perfect, brand new condition, marked with a green highlight, and 15% or less being irreparable, marked by a red highlight. Then you have the orange and yellow highlights for every condition in between. You can identify a defective part just by looking at it. That's the only way to really identify that look black or rusty. And that kind of tells you that whatever rubber or metal is used is totally damaged. You always want to start out with the tools first. Use the tools and use the examination mode to get a decent amount of experience and also identify parts. So for normal and story orders is the best way to start out. We can go right click and get to the car information here, and we can get to the issues to fix screen. And each issue will have certain parts that have to be fixed to deal with that issue. The issue to fix are the general categories of issues the vehicle has, and each one of those issues has a list of parts that need to be fixed or replaced. There's a star next to each part that you have already discovered, and it's very useful to click on these stars to mark them. It helps in identifying which part needs to be fixed by showing a blue outline when you're in the mounting unmounting mode view of the inside of the car. For parts that are not identified, you have to identify them first using your tools or simply disassembling vehicle parts one by one. To go into the part unmount or mount mode, you need only pop the hood by clicking on it and then clicking on any part like the engine, or you can lift the car up and click on any part. So basically click on the suspension, click on the wheel, and you basically go into that mount unmount mode. You start out with unmount mode, but you can actually right click and turn it into mount mode. Whenever you unmount, any screws that are rusty can simply be sprayed with the oil and they come right out. In real life, as mechanics who have reviewed this game have said, if only it were that easy. The mechanic liked this game, the review that I saw, and gave it a good review, but he made it clear that this game simplifies that struggle in real life, one that would take skill and experience to handle, whether it's rusty parts or screws or whatever. Whenever you get near the car, right-clicking with the mouse pointing to the vehicle, you get the option of where to move the car or information on the status. So we had to move it to the car lift just to help us get started on it so we can access under the hood. Now, in the issues to fix pane, you can see the repair with parts of a minimum condition and a percentage to the right of it. The repair with parts of a minimum condition rating tells us that for the parts the vehicle requires a replacement, the part must be of that condition or higher. In this case, it's 36% for this order. You have these helpful keystroke guides as you hover over parts, so you can use a good combination of your mouse and keyboard. The game guides you, on normal mode at least, it'll guide you where you need to put the wheel, it'll show the outline of the wheel, and you see that that's what it's requiring next. It does require you to assemble things in order. Obviously in real life you'd need to know it, but it'll give you that guide. You can see the blue outline here. Brake pads are the ones that have to be, these are the ones that require the 100% or the new ones that I bought. Now bear in mind that for orders where it is much harder to identify the parts that need replacement, it's easier to work on cars that require a reasonable minimum condition, so at least 35%, but preferably 50% or higher. The reason for this is that if the car is all in very low condition, like 22% or lower, then it is hard to identify just by looking at a part whether or not it needs replacement. 50% or higher gives you parts that all look metalish or decent rubberish, with a minimal rust on them, and bad parts as rusty or totally damaged rubber. While really low percentages will show all parts as rusty. This basically means that you'll have to keep unmounting parts and disassemble the whole engine or car just to find the part that requires replacement. And for orders that give you very little money, this is a big waste of time. When we get to that stage of the game, we'll build engines from scratch and rebuild vehicles starting from just their frame, and then sell those for good money. For normal or story orders, you want to stay away from really low repair with parts of minimum condition ratings. Interior detailing or car wash doesn't help with normal or story order payouts. They do, however, increase the value of cars you possess and can turn for profit. So we'll be using these later once we add the car wash and everything, because once you add that car wash service to your garage, then you don't need to pay for interior detailing every time you do it. So it's free to do, and it adds value to the car every time. Along with car wash and welding the car, get the frame to 100%. Now the welding does cost money, but all of those tools and services will expand as we expand our garage. You do get the different type of shops here, depends on which type of part you're looking for. ABS module is going to be found in the electronics shop. We complete orders in the same way we checked on them or get the details requirements for them. We right click and go into the car information and status menu. That's it for this one. We've achieved our first big milestone. We finished our first normal order. And I gave you as many tips as I could. We'll probably revisit some of these guides and tips as we progress along. And I'm just going to continue in the next one with more normal and story orders and just continue to get more profit. You can get larger and larger orders as you progress because you'll have a little more money to work with. So I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe.